30. Now, in our Kickstarter this morning, we're going to be looking at NSSF Value for Money initiatives under scrutiny. The whole of last week, it was NSSF probe in Parliament, and of course, you do have the chairman that was leading that select committee, Honorable Mwine Mpaka, leading the investigations, the questions, and we saw it all. We read the stories, we saw the news. However, where we stand right now, it looks like there's forces that are being pulled left, right and center. And in the last 2 months, NSSF has been in the eye of the storm over tides against the top job management due to the alleged irregularities at the fund. The impasse started with questions surrounding the mandatory retirement age limit that had caught up with Mr. Richard Byarogaba, but quickly turned into queries of mismanagement of the fund and then abuse of office. The row has since led on to the sacking in other top government officials, with the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja having interest in the same manner, of course, to protect government business. And then you get to look at the row between the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, and the then head of NSSF at that time, Richard Byarogaba. So there's a lot of agencies, ministries invested in this whole conversation of NSSF. So we asked Member of Parliament, Bukoto Central, Richard Sevamala, to come here and paint the picture for us better and where they stand as the ones who are the protectors and defenders of the law in Uganda. Good morning to you, Honourable.
Good morning. Viewers, and morning to you.
Okay, so let's start off with your duty in Parliament. The immediate passing of the Managing Director of the National Social Security Fund, him coming before the House asking for his reinstatement to his former job as Managing Director. What does that mean? Because ideally, in people's minds, the expectation is that he should go through the ministry and then that should be presented before you as Parliament.
Actually, what happens is, first and foremost, the NSSF Act Cap 222 is our mandate, because it's the legislature that came up with the formulation of the law and how NSSF should be managed. And when they are appointed, they come to Parliament for verification and scrutiny, and then we give the final say. We have the Appointments Committee of Parliament, where almost all managing directors, DNOs, and different people come for for vetting. Not actually, well, I wouldn't call it vetting, but for approval. So it's in his right to ask the person that approved him to to allow him go back to office.
Okay.
However, it is the same Parliament that is investigating him at the moment, and pursuant to the recommendations by the committee, by the select committee, is when we can see whether he's really capable of the job or he has mismanaged the job. So that is why you see that at the moment we are asking questions, and what started as a simple grudge between the minister and the MD has now come up with a lot of revelations in the fund, and very many people are coming up as whistleblowers. Today we have another hearing today starting at 9. So you're going to see more unveil today, and a lot might lead him not to go back to the fund.
You have mentioned that you are asking yourselves so many questions in the midst of this storm. What are some of those questions?
One, NSSF was meant for the people that do not save with government, or that are not pensioners. So it is meant for those non-government organizations, those other MDAs that do not have, do not save directly with a consolidated fund. So these people are supposed they get 5% from their salary, then 10% from the employer. That 15% is saved with NSSF, and it has gone over time to almost 17 trillion. Now, there are things that we have come that are unveiling at the moment, where you find that the fund is being managed at 87 billion per year. And yet when you look at their actual you know, salaries, board operations and everything, it is around 37 billion. So we are asking ourselves, where is the 50 going? So that is one of the problems that the fund already has. We're also looking at the investments that the fund has made over time, before and during Byarugaba's time. Those that he had control and those that he found and could change, because I mean, you're the ED when you come in as a managing director, you can change and say, no, this was the wrong investment. I think this is time for us to change this or do this, invest in this, invest in that. And these investments have not made profits, or their profits will be far-fetched. And you have not advised the board as such. We are also looking at the political interference of the different politicians, ministers and other people into the fund, and how it has caused its, you know, it's either whether it has been a good thing or a bad thing. We are also looking at what is there value for money, like on the returns on the investments that have been done by NSSF over time, especially during Byarugaba's saying very many things, very many shocking actually issues have come up at the investments that they have been making. We're also looking at the role between them and UBRA. Why has there been bad blood between Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority and NSSF? Where was the problem and who is to blame? So we are looking at very many things.
Okay, all right. So if this very same person that you speak of has such questions looming over him, then what is Parliament to do of his request, even if he's priding in having built the fund to up to 17 trillion Ugandan shillings? The job comes to an end at some point, doesn't it?
Of course, it comes to an end at some point. And like I said, pursuant to the question, to what we hear today, what is going on in the committee is when we shall come up with a recommendation for him either to be in office or not. When you're under investigation, you're not supposed to be in office. Those are public service standing orders. So he's currently under investigation and he cannot go back to office. And just a tip for the viewers, there is a lot that is going to unfold, especially today in that committee. I wouldn't think, unless he wants to go back to change a few things, or
which can be changed by anybody.
Yes.
It's not the person, it's the office that makes the change.
But now the office is under lock and key.
Exactly. So something else came out through the probing last week. The appointment committee or the board said that they had many options, and one of the ladies who made a submission said that this particular party, Mr. Byarugaba, was not the best candidate for the job. However, it had the influence of orders from above that he was then appointed the managing director of the NSSF fund.
That is possible. That is why I said that we are investigating to see. We didn't know that then. We know that now. That is what part of the investigation, to see how far has the political arm interfered with the fund's operations. So this is when we shall know that, if there were orders from above, why were there orders from above? What interests of order from above is Byarugaba, safeguarding in the fund? So this is what will be in the report, and we shall come up and tell you, what, for like when the president had directed that they buy off Webaja at a particular cost, and that is wrong. It is illegal. You mean the fund is supposed to come up with an investment strategy, an investment plan, come up with a particular, come and share the investment plan with Uganda Retirement Bureau and Authority, UBRA. Then after, if they see whether the investment is viable. So you cannot say, go, I think we should buy off Webaja and government should take it up and at this cost. That was the wrong directive. So does that equate to order from above and the appointment then? There is you've had a lot of problems with the investment with Nachigalala land. Who wants Nachigalala to be bought off? Why? If the issue hasn't, if the land has encumbrances as it is stated, it is not the only land that is existing. Why are you sticking to the fact that you want to buy Nachigarara? The Princess Suna's family is saying, no, it is our land. Madivani is saying it is our land. Then you ask Madivani, where did you get it from? And Madivani doesn't have answers as to where he got the land from before it came to. But then he insists he's the one that should be paid. And the payment had been fast-tracked. Why is that? Then we look at the Luboa, where they say they have used 1.2 trillion for the houses that are in Luboa. Then we say which taxpayer or which saver can buy a 1 to 1.5 billion house today? Because these investments are for these particular supposed to be for the savers, so that they can take them up and then save over time, and you keep getting from there. So if it could end at 800 billion, why? And you're using 1.2 billion, who is wrong? Was it the management decision? Was it even the Temangalo? Temangalo, just because it was bought off at that time, and we are constructing today, that's why you see that today it is profitable. But had we gone into the investment that time when Temangalo was bought off, you would find that actually NSSF would be making losses. We look into the pension tower. At the time of contracting, there was a clause in the contract that was saying that we shall not that whoever is going to be given this contract, it will be a lump sum contract where you will give us the finished product, then we pay you off. Shortly after signing of the contract, the terms changed to a measurement contract where we are paying, and then they had to restructure the contract and also the value of the projects over time. So who is facing all this? There is somewhere where they appointed a board, and the board only had male. So they said, no, let's change and have some females on board. Let's take off 2 and bring in 2 females. Then the 2 that were taken off the board were paid 1.2 billion shillings each. So why were they paid? So these are decisions that are made by a manager, and this is the person that is asking to go back to the office is the person that advises the board. Yes. And and is supposed
presents the case
to present cases to the board. So this is what we do not want him to be in office to do that. So we are saying there's a lot that will unveil with the NSSF, the whole NSSF saga, but it will be a good thing for the country, and it will be good for the president to make better decisions and get limitations of the political arm into affairs of MDAs. Different MDAs are facing a lot of political influence, and it is leading them to failure. Some have downsized, some have issues. So NSSF is just one of them. You're yet to see others.
Okay, it's taking the fall for the rest. So away from the political interference, the investment portfolio that is not really up to what you expected so many years later, and return on investments, the argument for Mr. Richard Byarugaba has been that they have sort of a rift between NSSF and the Ministry of Finance in terms of supervisory powers that were given to the Ministry of Finance over NSSF, and that has caused a lot of hiccups for where NSSF is versus where it was expected to be.
What's the role of Ministry of Finance? The role of Ministry of Finance is to be a shareholder, is to oversee the finances of ordinary investments and all that. The role of Ministry of Gender is to popularize NSSF and make sure that the workers' expectations can be visible, can be mirrored into the work of NSSF. And no one tells you that, and from this investigation, ministers won't take a fall for it. And I don't want people to be out there thinking that now that they are investigating NSSF and all over, then Beta Moji is safe and Minister of Finance is safe. No, this is a wide investigation that is going to take up all these people. And then they are going to ask them, if you saw last week when somebody requested for 6 billion to popularize NSSF, where were you? You understand? As an overseer, yes, we might say that you gave Richard Byarugaba the mandate to oversee the portfolio, but all salaries are paid through Ministry of Finance. If you have ghost workers, who is supposed to be blamed? Who was the desk officer? How were you? How comes you are not seeing the HR manual? You know, we are not following the HR manual or following the people that have been employed when you're paying salaries. So the NSSF thing is bigger than what you see, and I'm telling you, all of them will get a fall for it. Minister of Finance will be, recommendations will come on Ministry of Finance, recommendations are going to come on Ministry of Gender, recommendations are going to come from everyone, that is every stakeholder, and how they have affected the fund.
Let's talk about the 6 billion. Its mission was to ensure that NSSF is popularized for more people to come on board, consume the product and then the service that the government is offering. Is there a reality to the 6 billion having done any of that work that it was signed off?
I don't want to preempt the report. I don't want to preempt Minister Bini Mpaka's report, but what I would say about that is has the public seen the effect of the 6 billion? I think they have not. And they think, somewhere they say it was made for to popularize NSSF in the diaspora. And we would ask ourselves how many people in the diaspora are saving with NSSF. You know, voluntary saving and all that. So I don't want to preempt that report,
okay,
but at the time of it, you'll see where we have gone wrong, or who did what. You're going to say a lot. Actually, that is just still a tip of the iceberg. But you're going to see people fall, people get out of offices, people resign, people, you know, die of pressure.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Minister Betty Amongi and the relationship that he has been having with Richard Byarugaba. Of course, in the recent times, towards the close of the year, you could see, you know, the stiffness between their relationship. However, it has also been brought to the floor of the probe that in running of its budget, it's under mandatory of the ministry to do some of the things that they're supposed to be doing in order to realize ripple effects for NSSF. So what are we looking at exactly? Could you paint us the actual picture, the proper picture of the relationship of the Ministry of Labour and NSSF? Who is to do what, who's mandated to do what, and where do they draw the lines in application of mandate?
Like I said before, the role of the ministry is to set regulations and policies. That is all. You don't interfere. It is with politicians, it's eyes on, hands off.
So the regulation is that a person of this age should then get into retirement.
Exactly. Those are regulations.
But implementation of that,
it's eyes on, hands off.
Okay.
You understand?
Oh.
Yes. Even Parliament.
So she went a bit too far to actually execute the letter.
Exactly. So what we are seeing is, yes, you can be a minister, but don't overreach. You follow the proper procedures of what should be done. That was a contentious issue even in cabinet, where the president directed the prime minister to go and sort it out. Where the prime minister's...
It's government business.
Yeah. Where the prime minister got the two of them and even wrote a letter saying, pursuant to the meeting that we had, ABCD should be done. Let this person do ABCD. And that is when the whole thing fell out of place. And this one was saying, even if you've directed and you're, no, this will not happen. This person has been mismanaging. But remember, this is somebody that you've worked with for some time. So both of you have made decisions where you had to make a win-win situation for the country or for the fund. Now, both of them are tied into something where both of them will lose the battle. At the end of it all, both of them are going to lose the battle. Minister Amongi must have, you know, I said hands off. She put her hand somewhere, because if you say and you write a letter requesting that this amount of money should be given to you in this way, you need to account and show value for money. Then if we are Gawa or whoever released the money to that effect without a strategic plan of how the 6 billion is going to be, that will be also another problem. But the whole point is Richard Byarugaba and his staff are supposed to manage the fund. The minister is supposed to set regulations and policies that can help govern, actually the whole labor, you know, portfolio in Uganda. And what Richard Well government management are supposed to do is to make sure that they fit into those regulations and policies as they are pursuing their mandate. That is it. Nobody is supposed, you just come in as being a supervisor of someone does not mean that you come and implement. As a supervisor, you just come and say, okay, how is this going? How is this going? How is this going? Okay, can we change this? What do you think? Can you? Because they even have a board. And this board is the one that's supposed to approve most of their operations. So as a minister, you just come in to see whether the fund is in line with your manifesto.
Okay. All right. Let's look at workers' representatives. They've come out, called for a reputable international auditing firm to carry out value for money in terms of auditing the National Social Security Fund. Now that means that they don't trust the local funds. They may also get orders from above to tweak, change things here and there. So what does this speak into the trust of Ugandans, the savers at NSSF, and why do we need to get an international fund to do the auditing? To get back the confidence of the fund. That is all. Because actually, before, as NSSF is supposed to be audited like any other MDA that receives money from Ugandans. But then, deep down, we are seeing that there are these irregularities that are all over the media that we did not know. Now the workers, MPs are saying that they bring in an international audit because it has been Auditor General that has been auditing this firm and saying, giving it an a qualified opinion all the time, an unqualified opinion all the time. And everyone has been thinking, you know, all at NSSF is well. So they are saying, can we change eyes and bring in somebody else that is independent, that can, you know, give us the actual picture of what is at NSSF. That is the whole thing. But you know, it is also pursuant to the workers' MPs and the finance committee and others to always go to NSSF, because that's to do their work when it comes to NSSF. By us not having seen all this at the time, till when a select committee has come up to, then there is also a weakness in Parliament itself, as much as I'm a member of Parliament. So there's also a weakness with us where we have not gone down to do what we are supposed to do, because I believe NSSF would have already been called to Kosase for, you know, for this particular thing, because we are hearing the feud here and there on the different investments, but it has not been coming. Where was the problem? Who was curtailing NSSF from coming to the committee? Where was the hand coming from every time NSSF wanted to come, or committees wanted to meet NSSF, until a select committee is, you know, is put up? Because when you look at the last Parliament, NSSF does not appear that much. You look at the other Parliament, you don't see it appearing that much. Even in this Parliament, somehow, yes, and you know, and the 9th Parliament,
yes. So there has been a problem with oversight somewhere. So workers' MPs are not also safe, because I mean they're also supposed to be following up on what is happening in the fund. So now, by and large, now that we have learned that this is what is happening, then we now have to wake up and then, you know, do our work.
Abaganda bagambe nakuza omubi zibeerana, so I guess the 40 days for NSSF are up. But
Obama people had them with NSSF for a very long time. You mean you've seen the Jamwa issues back then, and somehow they were wrapped up. Then you're seeing what is going on now. It is not something that started yesterday. It is also going to be wrapped up. And then this will continue. For me, I believe if the recommendations of the committee of Honorable Mwine Mpaka are taken into consideration and vividly followed after this investigation, you're going to see a better place, and our viewers and the savers, you're going to have value for money.
But you
and
have
confidence
just
in the fund.
discredited it by saying that it's also going to be wrapped up and disappear somewhere. So where is the confidence? Where are the Ugandans supposed to get the confidence if you yourself are sure that it's going to be wrapped up and thrown somewhere,
that's what I'm saying,
and not given the attention that it should duly be deserving in
exactly
terms of rectifying the rot that is in NSSF.
That's why I'm saying that over time you've seen issues happening in NSSF and they have been wrapped up, and you have also seen where NSSF has not been coming forward to be audited or to come to committees to be, you know, where has that been? So with the 11th Parliament, with the Committee of Mwini Mpaka and its recommendations that will come up, if they are properly followed and executed, you're going to have better confidence with the fund.
But you see, this report has then to sit at the desk of your boss, and then as and when your boss has time to look at it, will those recommendations be read, and then application thereof again is still in that office. We have seen a similar scenario with the NTV International Airport. The probe happened, the files reached the office and they were sat on to debt, and see what has been coming out of the NTV International Airport. The other scandals unfolding. So again, Honorable, for us where we're sitting as Ugandans, we are not really having confidence in you, who's supposed to be representing us in presenting the argument that people's money is not safe. Their accounts could be empty as they speak right now. And you know, Ugandans, they want to go to check every single month to see how much has been added or subtracted to their accounts, because they are hoping to trust the system. But the system is broken.
The system is not that broken. We wouldn't be breathing. But this is what I'm saying. That, you know, just because the report for Uganda Airlines was not aired at that time, doesn't mean that there is no report for 2022. So I want to tell the viewers that sometimes you keep quiet at it. Just because we called Uganda Airlines that time and to come to Kosase and we discussed issues and we came up with a report and the report was not aired, doesn't mean that they don't have a report for 2022. So, December 2022, the Auditor General came up with a report which he presented to Parliament. Parliament has asked COSASE and the different agencies, and we are supposed to audit almost, okay, look at everything that is in that report. So, Uganda Airlines is going to come back.
The same cycle?
It's going to come back.
And when it comes back, to review it, and then you come back to the committee.
When it comes back, the report will not leak.
Okay.
Because the reason that was given the other time was a leakage. So the report won't leak, and if the report won't leak, you're going to see a report on the floor of Parliament. So sometimes it's just a matter of time before issues catch up with you. Okay. So the same issues that we are supposed to see in that report, you will see them in the report of the committee in 2022.
Okay.
And the culprits will be dealt with.
Let's talk about the ripple effects of the investment image of the fund right now, with where we stand and the things that are unfolding day and night.
No, it is just one. First and foremost, the image is, of course, the image of NSSF has been dented. But the good thing about it is the 1 million savers that are in NSSF have not withdrawn. We have not seen anyone saying we are not going to save with NSSF anymore, even when they have very many other options. That means at least the investment is still the fund is still on course. By the time we come up with this report, we believe that we shall have, weeded out anything that has been failing the fund, and we shall have put the operations of the fund, we shall give recommendations that we put the operations of the fund more stringent and, more strict, and we shall have to build the confidence of the Ugandans into the fund. However, I also call upon any person that has any information about NSSF to come up with that information now, because it is upon that information and evidence that you come with, not allegations but information, that we shall base the recommendations, and then we
to
move
whom
forward.
do they give this information? Because they may take
The
it to hands that will.
No,
okay,
no. Actually, you can go and sit in the committee. The committee is sitting today at 9, and if you have any information, you can walk in with that information. You can write that information and hand it over to the chairman and attach evidence. You can do anything. You understand? If you've ever been asked for a bribe, if you've not gotten your money and somebody has put up, stringent conditions on why you've not gotten money, this is the time. This is the time.
Okay, let's talk about the fallout of Dr. Lumochi with the select committee in regards to this matter. It sounds funny to you, so there's something there that is embedded.
How did they fall out with the
out?
committee? How did Dr. Lumochi fall out with the committee? Sometimes it's hard for me to comment about particular people.
Yeah.
But can we wait for the recommendations about Dr. Lumochi?
No, some people are interpreting it as some individuals, are bigger than others. So
nobody is bigger than the law. Nobody is bigger than the law. The law is the law, and everyone has to pay for their actions. If actually there are other members of parliament that have interference in the fund, and you're yet to see more names come up today and the other day and any other time. So I believe that Dr. Lumochi will also be dealt with at a particular time.
Okay, all right. As we await the final findings and recommendations in the report, as it will be closed, what lies of the future of the NSSF fund and this scandal? Okay,
the NSSF fund will stay because these are just a few individuals that have messed up a few things, not a few things, that have messed up the fund. You're going to see people lose their jobs at NSSF, in the ministry, in the two ministries, Minister of Finance and Minister of Labor. You're going to see, I don't know whether some people will be prosecuted, but recommendations will include prosecution and court and the rest. But importantly, what we are supposed to tell Ugandans is we are going to come up and investigate, like we requested, for a forensic audit from an international firm, and know the actual asset that we have, and then see how best we can invest how best the fund can invest the people's savings such that they have value for money. We are looking at a situation where all is not going to be good at the end of it all. You will see a lot of changes, a lot of things here and there. However, even when all that happens, the fund will continue, and a new management will be set up, and life will continue. So we believe that the new management will have better, will give Ugandans confidence for it. Although I would also want to tell Ugandans that there are other saving platforms. It is important that, as you say with the NSSF, you also look out for these other people that have gotten licenses from OBRA and are giving, good, even better incentives than even NSSF. I don't want to mention them, but they are there. I think OBRA is giving out up to around 30 licenses, 47 licenses to people that, to different people that can save money for above NSSF. So I believe you can come up with that. There have been a very big rift between UBRA and NSSF, and the 7 billion that they were supposed to pay for the license, we are not supposed to pay. Why are we paying? It should be gotten from the consolidated fund. And it is because UBRA was always fishing into its investments. Why? That is a wrong investment. That one we have refused. This one, and we have been, there has been that rift. However, take interest in your own savings. Get to know the different other entities and institutions that can save for you, and their incentives and the confidence that they would give. You might find that you don't need to save with NSSF. You can save with another one.
Okay, all right. We're going to take. All right, we are back, still continuing on with the NSSF Value for Money initiatives and the scrutiny that there is. And of course, we do have select committee sitting this morning at 9 a.m. And we await to see what will transpire during the course of the day. We do have Honorable Richard Sebamala here, been painting for us the picture where he has talked about political interference having been one of those issues, investment portfolio not up to scale with the expectations of government, and also to the people that save with NSSF. He has talked about return on investments. Some investments have been poor. UBRA has been saying, no, that investment is not eligible. That is no, and so it has caused a lot of rift between UBRA and the NSSF, and the actual management of the fund being 50 billion shillings, less than the projected management of the fund. All these issues in between there. But turning to you, Honorable, let's go back to the original thing that brought out all this rot. A letter was written, and the letter indicated that because Richard Byarugaba has reached retirement age, he should therefore leave the office and make room for an eligible managing director to take on the NSSF fund. And so people are being disturbed by, I mean, that alone should be simple mathematics. If you're of age, you've got into retirement. NSSF is for people to save until that age of retirement comes, and then they can have their money and live better lives. And so why is the man fighting his own retirement?
First and foremost, I don't fighting his own retirement is a good one. But I'm telling you, first and foremost, organizations have strategies. Organizations have strategic plans. There are particular visions they're looking at, and they have missions to achieve them. Many a times, when they are setting their objectives, especially the specific objectives, they assign them to individuals that can best do them. So, at the time of retirement, very many public servants come up with issues of, I started this particular, and I want to see it through. This has happened for politicians also, when the age limit, the term limit, and all those things. So when you look at that narrative that we have shown the country, it comes down to also the public servants. They are not the only ones. You find that when you go to UNRA, you find somebody at 60 that has a contract of 2 years. When you go to Ministry of Works, chief engineer has another contract of around 2 years. When you go to when you go to the different MDAs, you're going to find that even when people have reached retirement, they come up with some issue and then they say, you know what,
I need to finish.
I need another
this.
2 years.
And then they use the 2 years to prolong the
then they use the
mission
2
that
years
they're supposed to finish.
Then they say, no, but I think let us give them 5. Now, if Byarugaba had asked for another extra 1 year to conclude his issues and set, even then he knew he was getting 60, so he could set people in place. But if had he asked for another 1 year or two to sort out a few issues, maybe it wouldn't have caused a lot of. But then now he asked for 5. Now that one became a very big problem. That means that is another whole term of office to sort out issues. 2, why is he fighting his retirement? Why? Retirement is not simple. Very many people are not prepared for retirement.
But a man in his position, you cannot say he's not prepared for retirement.
With this economy at the moment, very many people have lost their retirement benefits into
that do not include Richard Byarugaba.
Come again?
That do not include Richard Byarugaba.
I don't want to speak for him.
We're looking at retirement benefits that will come with when he retires. The retirement benefit package, I believe, will be lump sum and satisfactory for a man of his position. If he has been serving with NSSF, I'm imagining for all that time he has been there, he has a good saving somewhere. So just looking at those two, he would not retire a poor man.
Yeah, maybe he would not retire a poor man, but he's looking at more than just retirement. Retire and do what if I'm still useful to this country? I believe he feels there's something he can still offer to the country, and given his experience and age and the fact that and his networks, he believes the country can still find him useful.
In another way.
In another way.
Yes.
So I believe very many people are coming up with stories. He invested in Nairobi. He has been taking money to it where you're yet to see that in the committee, maybe today or tomorrow or any other time. So I don't believe that the reason he wants to retire is because the problem is because he doesn't have money to continue. I feel that the only reason he doesn't want to retire is because he feels he's still useful to the country.
To the country, but you see, that country is not NSSF. Yes, so let's separate the country from NSSF. It's like you are insinuating that the country is NSSF and NSSF is the country. So if the country of which you have the authority to place him anywhere else, then please exercise that authority and place him where you find him useful, while still abiding by the laws that are supposed to actually keep checks and balances for government and for Ugandans.
Sometimes you want to stay in a place such that you can cover up a few trucks here and there. That is one of them. I'm not saying that it's what he's doing, but sometimes people have not had enough time to cover up the tracks of what they have done in the past. It happens to very many politicians.
Speaking of trucks, it looks like every head of the institution always walks out with a scandal. What is that?
Because somehow that is what I call political interference. Somehow these people have been forced or have been, twisted to make particular decisions or come up with particular instructions that they cannot account for when they are not in office. When they are not in office, they are going to report them, take them to CID, take them for prosecution, and they will end up in Luzira or any other prison, minimum or maximum prison. So somehow there is a fear, the fear for change, the fear for retirement, the fear for what happens tomorrow. After I'm out of this fund, what if this comes out? What if the other thing? Why don't I cover this up? Maybe that's why people want to remain in particular places. Maybe you should instill that fear in them when you're appointing them. Show them their predecessors and what has happened to them, so that they don't have to live in fear of, okay, I did this and this, it's going to come out. Because guess what? It's going to come out nevertheless. It has come out nevertheless. At a time of appointment, people come up with very many, what do they call them? Promises to the appointment, the appointment team. I wouldn't say parliament. Because when the president is going to appoint you, or when you're lobbying to become, those big positions are lobbied, you'll come up with a heaven on earth. When I'm made this, I'm going to do this. You come up with a proposal. As soon as the first 100 days, I'm going to put this in place, do this and do that. And then you go. And then the powers that may be want you to deliver. You find out that in order to deliver, sometimes you have to, look aside on particular issues. And now, these issues are going to come and catch up with you, because now the time has come. You've not had enough time to cover up these tracks. Now I'm talking reality. And that is how all these people have failed to get out of office. Or even when they're getting out of office, they're so scared of what might come the next day. So I don't believe that these people don't want to get out of office because they don't have money or to retire. No, it is because they want to retain the power. They want to retain the immunity.
Isn't that ironic? Because even the person or the office that interferes with things like NSSF, Naguru Dakawa land, is also retaining power. So how should we expect different from such leaders if our top leadership is also retaining power?
The way the top leadership retains power is by law. Somehow, the Constitution empowers them to stay where they are. Even when it's painful, me being an opposition member of parliament, I feel it's very painful for a country not to have an extra, to have a change. Every change comes with its own good or bad. Even when we feel like that, somehow the law has been structured into the fact that they can retain power, but here you don't have any law that can safeguard you to keep you in position. It is just a culture that all of us are supposed to adopt. right from the politicians. You serve 2 terms, even if you're in Parliament, and you know, you say enough is enough. I think somebody can come up, and whether you're still at your peak or not. But you find, whether it is the opposition or it is the ruling government, somebody can serve 5 years, 10, 15, 20, and they're in the same place. You understand? You're in Kampala, you become an MP, you become a mayor, you're in Masaka, you become an MP, you become this, you become that. So somehow, almost everyone is not getting out of their positions. So it is a culture that is supposed to be inculcated in almost all people across the board, that there is a time for retirement, and you should change from one position to another, not even position, from one ideology to another, or one school of thought to another. It is here in Uganda where you see politicians do not think, okay, somebody becomes a councillor, becomes an LC3, an LC5, an MP, then they don't want to get off MP. But there are other positions in this African community. The other positions in African Union. The other position in the UN. But these politicians do not go and do not come up with the skills to be better placed at the time when those organizations need those particular people. You ask somebody, okay, we are members of Parliament. Have you thought about the Secretariat, or working with the Secretariat of this African community, or are you looking at anything like in the UN, maybe at 55? You go, then you have done your PhD. Don't tell me about books. And in order to be in that organization, you're going to need those papers. Yes, you'll have the experience, but they'll need somebody that can do research. They'll need somebody that can critically think. They'll need somebody that is hands-on. They'll need, and these are skills that people do not get, and they cannot be better placed. So they come up, get a particular place, and they want to cling to that particular place, and they don't want to be. And you know, at a particular age, you also want to do what you know best. After 40, you want to know what you do best, to do what you know best. And what these particular people know best, if you're a politician, is politics.
But learning never stops, which you have alluded to.
Yeah.
Now, still looking at political interference, if the office of the president or the executive is going to continuously appearing in some of these scandals, remember the coffee scandal, I mean, how it turned out. It seems to have, you know, kept quiet. The Luwa kept quiet. Naguru Nakao kept quiet. However, the reality is that it then manifests again in a different form. As Parliament, how are you to protect Ugandans from this political interference continuing?
First and foremost, we have to come up with a Parliament and curtail the powers of the executive. It is very important. It is very important. It is something that you keep thinking. Why do we come up and say that the president is very powerful, the president this, the president that, yet it is Parliament that is supposed to, you know, to deter the executive from doing particular things, and the only way it can do it is by coming or by amending the constitution. But then all the time we think about that, you find that you say, okay, now NRM has the numbers. Even when we come up with this motion, they will be so timid to do something. However, I will also tell you this. Even when the Rubowa issue came up, Parliament did its work. It went to Rubowa. I was part of the delegation that went to Rubowa and was refused to come in. We refused to go away and use our mandate until we entered Rubowa, and then took pictures and came up with a report of what it is. It is the same Parliament that came up with Nakawa Naguru. Because with Parliament, for us, ours is to oversee. Ours is to tell you, the people that sent us, that look here, we gave this person money to do this and they did not do it. So it is up to the executive to take our recommendations serious. So now it goes back to the executive. It is the executive that is not taking its mandate. It is not using its mandate to do what it is supposed to do. We gave you the report for Rubowa, you punished nobody. Parliament did its work. We gave you the report for Naguru Nakawa, you didn't act on it. Who is supposed to blame? It is the government. It is the executive or the cabinet. We are coming up with the NSSF. We have made other reports. Remember when the speaker was asking for the action taken report? It was for the public to get to know that of all the recommendations that we had made from the different committees, this is what government has done about them. These are the implementations. Yes. And it goes back to government. Somehow people mix the role of Parliament with the role of the Speaker. Yeah. And then they try to come up with the image of Parliament as the image of the Speaker, instead of following the recommendations of Parliament on different issues that have been discussed and have been discussed and have been concluded on. Parliament has always done its work. Mm-hmm. The executive is what is not doing its work. So that is why we are saying that, true, there is need now for Parliament to punish those that are in the executive or in cabinet for not implementing what they are supposed to do. But you find somebody that will come like a sergeant. For me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I got a chance to do the same thing again, I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. I think it's because these technology things are not my thing, and he will confess that he's sorry and he will go away with it. And for me, I'm saying, even if somebody says sorry, they should be punished. Because they have the protection of the executive. The same executive that is continuously saying we should fight corruption, but at the same time they are aiding corruption in our country, because if it's at the top, how much more rot is at the bottom? Nevertheless, you talked about in terms of curtailing the powers that are within the office of the president. Yes. In regards to, let's just paint a picture. If you want to build a house, it starts with a thought, and then you start consulting around some architects that can give you a plan that is affordable to you, but also has the design that you have in your mind, basically to interpret your mind for you on paper. And then thereafter you'll contract engineers to be able to do what they should be. You buy a piece of land and then you start the construction, and perhaps a year or two later you have a finished house. What I'm relating to where you sit right now, you do have the powers to start the thought, to bring to realities what these powers are and how they are actually interfering with the governance of this country and disabling it from achieving where it should be. Because if you tell me that Singapore and Uganda were at the same level at some point and it's not the same today, then that means there's a problem. So you have the power to start the wheel in a different direction. It may not be with your 11th parliament. It can be in the 15th, 17th parliament, but it can start somewhere. So can you start somewhere as the 11th parliament in steering the wheel in a different direction so that we don't have to see these things for the future of the country? Can we start somewhere? Yes, we can start somewhere. Do we see what should be changed with the powers of the executive? Yes, they are. Like independent appointments of the judiciary. Let the judiciary be independent. Why would you be appointing the chief judge? Let they go through a process and let's get the independent electoral commission. Not just put the word independent electoral commission, but leave the electoral commission do its work. The army, come up with a process of a process that you use for ranks, to improve the ranks, a process for which you use to send orders, such that it is not a personalized army. It also comes down to the powers of the public service. There is a clause in the constitution that says that the president is everything, and then he just delegates powers to public service. Delegates powers even when you're in you're a cleaner in government. You have delegated powers of appointment by the president. Okay. And of course, these clauses should be changed. Can we start somewhere? Yes, we can start somewhere. Can we start it tomorrow or the other day? Of course, we shall sketch something and you see, start it somewhere. Please don't let tomorrow be in with the public understand us. But I've already said I'll take the Democratic Party to presidency. Okay. And so I was even monitor the other time telling them what it should be. The other Sunday monitor. Why was I saying that? It is because we see these things and we are telling these Ugandans that this is not what it is supposed to be. there is a way it is supposed to be, and there is a way the country should be managed, and there is a way the state can not interfere in the affairs of the government and the affairs of the whole country. However, you find from time to time, as we are coming up with particular issues, as we are coming back up with the right thing to do, there are those people that think the president is the alpha and omega, made them what they are, and they should do nothing but continue in the same path. Tova Khomeini, we have the Maje, we have you are hearing all those campaigns. When you come down and ask them sincerely, look at all these ministries. You listen. Recently, just the IGG came up with a report that was saying 11 trillion of Ugandan money was, the cost of corruption was 11 trillion in 6 months, July 2021 to December 2021. But have you heard anybody, we come up with recommendations, we come up with everything, and somehow they die somewhere. So it is important to us all, it is imperative upon us, all members of parliament, especially movement members of parliament, to understand that when they come to that parliament, they have come to check the government, not to be part of it. There's a difference between being part of the party and being part of the government. So you've come as a member of parliament, yes, of that particular government that is, but you're supposed to check that government because you're a member of parliament. The moment that sticks in their head, the rest will be easy.
Okay. We do have some reactions here on Twitter. Kabugo Ibrahim says, imagine we who have been voluntarily serving and you hear the rotting servers entity. Chikuruma. There's another comment that has come through here. Manager Ronnie on Twitter says, it's your parliament and MP's stomach. They make the law, only laws act on the law only acts on the poor, and the poor are the voters.
No, not really. Actually, what people are mistaking, what the voters have failed to understand, is Parliament is not an implementing authority. And I want that to sink into very many, voters. Parliament is not an implementing authority. Parliament does not direct action. You understand? Parliament is supposed to gather your views, present them to government, and then government comes up with a reaction on your views. So today you wake up and say NSSF is a rot and everything. Then we shall have those recommendations to government. And it is the role of government to say, let's fire Byarugaba, let's censure the minister, let's do XB, let's do this, and let's change the minister. Censuring is ours, but let's reappoint this, or reappoint somebody in this particular ministry, let's do this, and then the public will see what government has done. All
right, your closing remarks, Honorable.
My closing remarks are to the savers, first and foremost. Of course, there is a shake-up in NSSF. It is not the first time this has happened, but it is the first time in history that in the last 10 years or 15 years that NSSF has been caught, hands-on. And I believe that the report that is going to come from the committee of Mr. Honorable Mwine Mpaka is going to be a very thorough one. What we are supposed to do now is to force government to implement the recommendations of that report. And for you all, the savers, your money is secured. So you just save your money. After all, it is government to answer for why your money is not there when you need it.
All right.
And I look forward to seeing many savers look out for very many other options, because there are other people that have been given licenses to save for you. Look out for those other people and see whether you can save with them.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Richard Sibama, in this regard. Now, it is what it is, but continue serving. Serving is a good culture. This conversation brings us to the end of Morning at NTV. At NTV at 1, we shall be giving you a sneak peek on how far the Select Committee would have gone from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So look out for that. Otherwise, have a blessed day. On behalf of Chris Igenyi and myself, Priscilla Regina Naluoga, see you later.